the question about Real Madrid. You see the potential. And we've been asked this question in extra time and time again. I mean, it's getting to the point to where it's actually boring to have to answer the same question. But the potential of the front three of Real Madrid as compared to Barcelona, which one has the best front three? When they play like this, when Vini is like this, when Mbappe is active, when Rodrigo is active, as they were in the second half, there's no stopping them.
The issue for me is, again, that first 35, Real Madrid were just that poor. Anybody else just able to kind of hold their nerve a little bit better. Even if they concede a couple of chances, we have to see how Real Madrid responds. Borussia Dortmund just allowed them back in the game by their own self-conceit.
They've got 4 days to teach Lucas Vazquez how to mark at the back post when the ball's coming in.
Yes, we've seen that, as you say, in the Vigo game.
So you look at his defending in the Vigo game,
yeah.
Celtic Vigo game, which was actually worse than this, because he should have saw that even earlier. But he's just not a natural. And you know, Danny Carvajal, who is one of the best that's played the game in that position, either sees it or he blocks the runner.
Yeah.
One of the two. I think just from an attacking perspective, you have a player who, it's not his instinct. But it has to be his instinct, because at the weekend it's probably going to be Rafinha coming at the back post, or Lamine Yamal. It's probably Rafinha on that side. So he's going to have to defend that area. His goal was fantastic, of course it was. But ultimately he's in there as a full-back. And again, we saw just his body position was wrong, and he didn't know what was behind him, and that's just a consequence of not having a natural full-back in there, but it's one that you could pay heavily for in a very tight game.
Robbo, Nuri Sahin, of course, a new manager to Dortmund, taking over this. Did he panic? Because when Gittins gets taken off, it changed the whole complexion of the tactical setup, which seems to be working well.
Yeah, you can understand why he made a substitution, but I think he made the wrong substitution, because in the start of the second half, you could tell that Real Madrid were on top and he wanted to change the course of the game. Even though they were 2-0 up, he didn't want them to get that first goal. But to make the change he did, because they had Mbappe up front by himself, there was Rodrigo on the right-hand side, Vini Jr on the left-hand side, so he put another centre-half in. So they had 3 centre-halves against Mbappe. So then Real Madrid can have complete control of the midfield. They can then get their full-backs higher up the pitch. I think he made a massive blunder. And then it thwarted Borussia Dortmund on the counter-attack, because if they're posing a threat, there's always that worry to Real Madrid. But there wasn't a threat for 20-25 minutes at the start of the second half, and it was all Real Madrid. He made a bad decision by going to a back three when really there wasn't that many players to mark in there.
You cannot expect or pretend to go into Santiago Bernabeu and beat Real Madrid by being afraid. And that substitution by Nuri Sahin was conservative in nature, but it was also a panicky substitution, was being afraid. And knowing also, and to be fair to Nuri Sahin, knowing as well that the players that he's working with at Borussia Dortmund are very soft.
Right.
Soft. They lack character. They lack toughness. I see it every weekend in Bundesliga, and I have this conversation time and time, and I mean time again. A team that will show good things and will show good aspects of the game and will show moments like they had in the first half, but are unable to sustain it. But when things get tough, this group usually breaks, usually fractures, and usually you see some of the plays that we saw in the second half. We see Emre Can not giving the effort that he should be given. We see the mistakes through the midfield and the turnovers because nobody wants to show for the ball. Everybody's hiding. We see Nico Schlotterbeck turning the ball over and Valdemar Anton unable to defend. Julian Brandt completely disappears. This happens regularly with Borussia Dortmund. Such was the surprise that they made it to Champions League final last season, because it went against everything that we've come to learn and understand about Borussia Dortmund. And I think Nuri Sahin is getting to the point where he's getting to understand the group of players that he's with. And man, this is not a group of players that you can trust to get out of Santiago Bernabeu by being afraid.
What does this mean for Saturday, Shaka?
It means that Real Madrid going to.
No, Borussia Dortmund got a big. No, I'm joking.
Real Madrid going to the Clasico all of a sudden with momentum that could have looked very different.
Yeah.
Given the first half hour of this game at the Bernabeu as well, I think that it makes a huge significance again, given that atmosphere. And all of a sudden, whereas 24 hours ago you asked who were favourites going into that one, and we kind of hummed and hawed about that. I think all of a sudden Real Madrid are going into that, well, certainly with more momentum. They have to fix the problems that you saw in the first half hour. I don't think you give Barcelona a 2-goal lead and expect a similar response. But it means they're in a better condition than, as I say, I would have thought 24 hours ago.